Hey everyone, this is David Bui here. Welcome to another edition of Hometown PTBO. We're in my mom's kitchen, away from my mom's kitchen. We're at Hanoi House here on Lansdowne Street with owner Susan Tung. And Susan, you've built quite a restaurant empire here, but we know you've had a lot of experience prior to opening these restaurants. I'm very certain that your family owned the Golden Wheel out in Springville.
Yeah, so for anyone that doesn't know, what the Golden Wheel is or where it is, it's a Chinese restaurant out in Cavan, so towards like Kawartha Downs. My parents opened it in the 90s, and they started small. It was this dinky little building, and then over time they grew the business. And then they moved next door to what was formerly the Honky Tonk. So it was basically this country bar, and it had like horse saddles, and so when we took it over, it became very East meets West. Mm-hmm. So, you could sit on a horse saddle, but you could eat some chicken fried rice. So it had a really funky vibe to it. Now, fast forward, my parents have retired, and, it's still there. It's just owned by someone else.
So you kind of became a restaurant brat, kind of growing up in the restaurant industry. I know that there are a lot of families in Toronto that basically do the same thing. They kind of like live and work in the same building. Like their apartment would be upstairs in the restaurant, downstairs they go to work, and you'd see like kids even working in the restaurant. Was that you?
100%. Every day was take your kid to work day for me. So I used to go with my dad on deliveries, which was a lot of fun. And then, I'd answer the phone. And even when I went to university, my parents would make me come home for Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve to just help them at the restaurant. So for us, holidays looked really different because all the, me and my brother would have to come home and work, and that was our family tradition.
But you didn't go to school for restaurant and tourism or anything like that. You went for something completely different.
Totally, yeah. I actually wanted to be a doctor, Asian stereotype, haha. And then when I was in university, I started playing sports. I played lacrosse. I ended up one night doing coach check at this student bar, and then I kind of fell back into the industry while living in Toronto. So I was working in coach check, then I became a bartender, head bartender, and I worked my way up into management, and then I decided to not pursue med school or medicine or anything academic wise, and decided that this is what I wanted to do.
And full disclosure, also my parents also wanted me to be a doctor or a lawyer as well, so that stereotype completely follows for Asian
doctor,
families.
Lawyer, accountant, you name it.
Engineer, whatever,
totally,
any of those high profile
exactly.
jobs. So now we fast forward now to Valentine's Day 2020 is where you finally opened up your very first restaurant, Hanoi House, but it wasn't here, it was actually on Hunter Street. And then what made you decide that you wanted to just go into the restaurant industry anyhow?
So I actually, when I was opening this restaurant up, I was actually in Teachers College at Trent. My parents wanted me to pursue something else that was, again, a little more safe. And just to appease them while I was living in Peterborough and helping them at the restaurant, I was in school again while working at the same time. And then ultimately I decided that teaching wasn't really for me, or teaching in a traditional classroom wasn't for me. So I came across this space downtown on Hunter Street as I was thinking about getting my feet wet again in the industry. And then the opportunity came up and I really couldn't say no. It was a really great space, and I still have it because it's NAKA now. But I couldn't say no. So while I was finishing my teaching degree, I was opening this restaurant at the same time. So that happened, in February of 2020, which we all know was leading up to a very challenging time. Yeah,
you've really built a lot of your success, especially on social media. You made a huge presence on it, and now you're going 4 years strong here at Hanoi House, NAKA, just over a year now and that. So you've really kind of started to get in the groove, and like a lot of people just know who you are, as you told me that you can go anywhere and someone's going to notice you. Someone's going to know who you are just because of your presence.
For sure, yeah. And to be honest, social media is what allowed me to build my restaurant, right? When everyone was home during COVID, the only way I could reach people was through their phones. No one was on the streets, and even being at this location, we're paying commercial rent on Lansdowne Street, so you can imagine we're paying a premium for being in Peterborough. So the only way I could reach people was through their phones, in their own homes.
So then, what would you say for anybody out there who wants to open up a business here in Peterborough, considering you're kind of a younger entrepreneur here?
So my advice is, to know your numbers. I think a lot of us, when we go into business, we get excited about the creative side and doing the things that we want to do, take food photos and meet people and serve and all that. But, the reality is for a successful business to thrive and be sustainable is you have to be profitable and to be able to pay your bills and pay your staff. And that's something that I had to learn the hard way over the 4 years, was to really dive into my numbers. And even when you're not doing well, you still have to look at it and face it head on. So yeah, if you want to open your own business, you got to get really technical with the numbers.
Well, I'm really glad that you opened up this place, because it's not always that my mom's going to have pho ready for me at home. It's a long, laborious process to make, as I would definitely know. So my fiance, who's never had pho before she met me, and now she loves it. And now we always come down here. I think we've counted over like 50 times I've been here since you've opened.
Yeah,
so
I would consider you guys like one of our OG customers.
Definitely been here for a while. Definitely a legacy customer. Hopefully, if you have like a wall of fame of customers,
for sure, I'll be interviewing you.
Right?
We'll just be
exactly
doing
that.
Yeah.
So, Susan, thank you so much for inviting me into your restaurant. And I'm glad that you're doing really well, knowing that you grew up here. You've been a lifelong friend of mine, so I'm really glad to see you really prosper here and supply me pho on demand when I need it, when my mom doesn't have it.
Yeah,
Absolutely. So let's have a drink of tea here.
Woohoo.
For sure. And let's drink to it. Cheers.
Cheers.
Thanks for watching, everyone.
Thank you for watching Hometown PTBO, brought to you by CIBC, Pile Wealth Advisory.